Speaking of recruiting, LSU on fire. They picked up a 5-star offensive lineman yesterday, Zalance Hurd. Our friend Billy Embody.
He'll be running behind him.
Over at On 3. They picked up a 5-star yesterday, too. They got Shea Dixon on the team over at On 3. Y'all are cleaning up over there, man. Y'all look like the Lakers, the early day Lakers. How's it going over there? Good morning. How are you?
It's great to be a part of a dream team. I mean, everybody wants to be a part of that. Yeah. So got Shay, Maddie B, Peter. We got a great crew over there now. And look, I can sleep in a little bit. The guys got it. It's there,
They weren't sleeping in whenever Shay announced. My goodness, it sounds like we woke the man up, or he's still going.
I was shocked he stayed up till 12:01 to actually do it. I was like, this would be pretty cool. And if you guys, just do the, hey, is this thing on at 12:01? And sure enough, they did.
How big of a day was it yesterday for LSU picking up Zalance Hurd? What does this do for the class?
Man, just massive. I mean, top 5 class on 3 already, but, inches them just a smidge behind Georgia, I think, for that number 4 spot. And now it's kind of one of those deals where everything you get after this is kind of gravy. They have some key targets at defensive back. Still out there. They have, some flip candidates like a Derek Williams that they could swing away on. Jordan Matthews at Woodlawn they could swing away on. And then some offensive linemen out there and some defensive linemen too. So this whole class right now is just in a terrific spot entering the season. This is where you kind of want to be. You don't want to have your commitments and be worried about a lot of them. Not saying they'll all sign with LSU, but they, for the most part, are all pretty committed to this class, I would say, at least as of now. And then you've got targets that are really realistic for them to land. And so Zalance Hurd is that kind of punctuation, exclamation point on the end of the summer. I mean, this is a 6'6", 305-pounder who is just elite in so many ways. I mean, a really, really good athlete, moves well, bends well, has 36-inch arms. I mean, just a freak of nature, and he's just scratching the surface. He's only played offensive line last year and this year, so he's going into his second year of that at Neville. He's manning that left tackle spot now that Will Campbell's gone. He'll get that experience, which is good. I think he could, with the way his trajectory is right now, I think he could step in, right away at LSU and at least challenge for that right tackle spot, depending on how that goes this year. If Cam Wire really steps it up and is awesome, then maybe it's a year or so to hold him off, and Zalance Hurd could use that developmental time. But he's a very, very elite prospect. We've got him as the number 13th overall prospect in the entire country. He's locked in as a 5-star along with Shelton Sampson. Huge day for LSU, especially in the state of Louisiana.
The offensive line that Neville is putting out right now, because I know that there's another one coming up in future classes as well. I mean, Will Campbell's younger brother is the center on that line of scrimmage too. Just talk about that area of the state and how LSU has reestablished that. I saw Trey Holly had an enormous start to his senior season as well.
Yeah, I think North Louisiana is just as important. I mean, the whole state. And Brian Kelly, I think, really hit it well when he started this conversation back in and at SEC Media Days, kind of unprompted, where he said, we have to go all over the state and find these guys and make sure that the ones that have slipped out don't slip out anymore. If that means going to Monroe, to Shreveport, to Bunkie, to Maine, you could go all over the state. They've got to make sure they keep them at home. But specifically North Louisiana, I think it has some underrated talent, even though we have Zalance Hurd as, the number 13th overall player in the country. They just seem to find a way to have some of those guys that not necessarily get the respect they probably end up deserving. Devin White was playing running back, linebacker. I mean, Tre'Davious White from Shreveport. They've just continuously churned out, really, really impressive prospects. Neville's on a tear. A.J. Allen at Nebraska, I think, is going to be great. I really thought LSU should have gone all in on him late in the process. And, I just think that Neville program is just built to win. I mean, they churn out prospects. They've got a really, really good culture there. And I think Zalance has really leaned into that as well since he transferred in for Bastrop. It's a huge, huge area. They've got to continue to mine it and just turn over every stone. I think that's really important.
Billy Embody is a member of On 3. Remember, you can hit him up on Twitter at Billy Embody, and you can also follow him there. Make sure and like, share, comment on this YouTube post. Billy, who do you like to start at quarterback for LSU on Sunday?
I mean, I'm a Nuss Bus guy to begin with. I've covered Nuss for forever, it seems like. I was at his first start at Flower Mound Marcus and watched him kind of grow. But I think Jaden Daniels is going to get the start. And I think that's probably the right move. Just you brought in Jaden Daniels. It seems like he's done enough to win this competition. I think Garrett Nussmeier's done a terrific job making it difficult on them. And Brian Kelly's kind of mentioned that. But I do think Jaden Daniels will take the first snaps. It doesn't mean that Nuss isn't going to have a great college career. I think he has the upside to kind of do that with his arm strength and just his fearlessness, quite honestly. But Jaden Daniels has some things right now that, with some maybe uncertainty on the offensive line, at least going into game one as far as how they'll perform, the ability to really move him and use him in some quarterback runs, maybe that gives the defense just a little bit more to think about. And just overall, I think he's done a much better job consistency-wise in the spring from what they've said. It sounds like his footwork's improved. So if he can take care of the football, I mean, I think it's probably the move to start Jaden Daniels.
Billy, last night high school football got going here in the state and locally. University High shut out Woodlawn, and they did that very impressive with defensive plays. They also did it with a swing pass to a young sophomore running back named Keelan Moses, who looked like his older brother Dylan in the open field last night as he was carrying the football down the sideline. How good is this University High team here this season? And tell me about some of the prospects that were on the field last night in that game.
Yeah, I mean, LSU is one of those programs that's already lining up for Keelan Moses. He camped over the summer. He camped at linebacker with Matt House. Sounds like things are in a good early spot with him. I mean, long way to go. Can't even be contacted yet by colleges. That just started for the class of 2024 yesterday, but really, really impressive looking prospect. I think he's somebody that you want to see develop. I don't know if he'll get to that 5-star level just yet, just because it is so early. But he looks the part. I think he's a really good looking prospect. On the other side of the ball, with Woodlawn, you got Ricky Collins, LSU's quarterback commit, who was out there, was under a lot of pressure pretty much all night, wasn't able to really do much, obviously got shut out. So he's somebody that, you're looking for positive, reasons to feel good about him, but that's a tough U-High team to face. I mean, they're really, really good. They've got some guys every year, it seems like, that they're able to churn out and really, put together a good season. I like Marcus Dawson, safety, who's in the class of 2024. He really impresses me a lot. I think he's a sleeper in the state. I think once he gets out there a little bit more, he's somebody that we could see pick up some recruiting momentum in the offseason. So, yeah, Ricky Collins is over there at Woodlawn as well. And then Jordan Matthews, the Tennessee commit, is playing over there for Woodlawn as well.
Who are some of the players that LSU will be out watching? How do they use this weekend, Billy, where they can use this opening game in New Orleans? They can't have any contact, but they can have guests of LSU football, so can Florida State, on the sideline and at this game. How do they use that?
Yeah, right now it seems like a ton of commits are going to be coming in. You've got guys like Jalen Brown. I talked to his dad yesterday. He was all excited. Jalen actually doesn't have a game this week, so his dad was a little upset, let's just say, that he didn't realize that and get them on the plane a day earlier for a little good time in New Orleans. So, those are going to comprise a large amount of the group. A lot of the commits are making it in. Weeks confirmed that he's coming in. Jawan Johnson, the 2024 LCA athlete, is going to be there. He told me they've got a large group that they're trying to get down there to the Dome. And so the Southern game next week, it sounds like it's going to be a huge recruiting weekend as well. So LSU's off to a good start as far as the visits go. As far as the coaching staff getting out and seeing some of these kids, TBD. Still trying to track that down. It's kind of been a little up in the air, I think. First game, they're probably going to stay local if I would guess. But, they can use that extra night if they get some guys out on a little PJ to go a little national without a game on Saturday to prepare for if they would like. And I think just kind of watching Notre Dame in the past, that's something Brian Kelly's staff has done, is gone out nationally on Friday nights and Thursday nights and gone out and done recruiting trips, which we did not see that under Ed Ogeron pretty much at all outside the bye week. So I think that's important to do. I don't know if they'll do it for the opening game, but that would be the move I would make, at least. Unless you're so.
Don't you worry.
Billy, tell me about Mason Taylor, the tight end, and what you knew about him in recruiting, and how much of an impact you expect him to have here this weekend in his first collegiate game.
I mean, as far as impact right away, it sounds like he's going to have a big one. I mean, I don't think Brian Kelly owes Mason Taylor, or quite honestly any of these guys, to really talk them up without any good reason. At least from my vantage point. But he has made a point to really talk up Mason Taylor, which says a lot about the camp he's had. Game one against another huge opponent in FSU, we'll see how he adjusts right away. But the staff is high on the work he's done. I think in that tight end room, it makes a lot of sense for him to at least be, somebody either 1A, 1B, right there with Cole Taylor. I mean, just probably a better athlete than some of the other guys in that room. And physically, he's been this way since high school. He's kind of been ready to go. He's been a big tight end, not necessarily somebody that flashed in the passing game at SDA in South Florida, but, I think with the bloodlines of his dad being Jason Taylor, that's obviously helpful. He did move around well. He camped for his offer in a private workout and earned it when Coach O was still there. His recruiting process was kind of weird because he took a bunch of camps and it was kind of a mixed bag. And I don't know if he was maybe fatigued or whatever, but we saw some big offers and then some schools say, you know what, we're going to be fine. LSU stuck with him the entire time. He had a huge breakout game his senior year to start it off, and then it was kind of quiet. And I don't know if that's STA not involving him. I don't know if that's teams taking him away. It's hard to determine some of those things throughout the process, but he flashed that in game one, and he had the chance to really have a productive year after that. Didn't as much, but then ended up sticking with LSU and throughout the whole process. So kind of a weird recruitment in a way, but I know LSU needed tight ends. He made a lot of sense to keep and hold on to just from his size and bloodlines. I mean, that's always a good sign. So it seems like he has just taken everything right in stride since he's gotten to LSU. And, I mean, expectations are high, and Brian Kelly didn't have to do that and set those expectations, but he has.
How do you see Sunday night playing out?
I think LSU's the more talented team at quite a few positions. I think the defensive line, if they can play within the scheme while also applying pressure, Brian Kelly kind of talked about that last night on his radio show in terms of not going, all out on a pass rush. You've got to pick your spots when to contain Jordan Travis, but also you have to be able to take your shots at him and try to get him off his rhythm and create pressure situations where they can get after him. I think if they do that while not allowing him to kind of run wild a little bit in terms of extending plays, I think that'll kind of, really settle this LSU defense in, allow them to make a lot of plays. I'm interested to see the secondary and how they match up. This is a group that has all come together and communication has to be on point, but sounds like they're pretty high on, how that's going to work out. If the offense takes care of the football, I think LSU has the playmakers to get it out quick, get it moving, get Jaden Daniels or Garrett Nussmeier's feet wet in this new offense, and go from there. I'm not so sold on the run game for LSU just yet. I want to see how the offensive line does, but it's a big opportunity for Noah Kane and Armani Goodwin to really stamp their mark on the offense early on with John Emery out. This is going to be a big game for those guys to kind of take those carries against a good opponent. They've got to be productive, take some of the pressure off these quarterbacks, and the receivers are talented, but they got to have time to get it to them. I do think LSU is going to eventually pull away. They're going to settle in. They're probably going to be hyped. The Dome is a pretty good place for LSU for the most part. So I like LSU in this one. I haven't figured out a final score yet. Probably something like 31-24.
Take the over, according to Bill.
Oh,
I went 35-24.
35.
Wow.
We're going 5 guns.
I thought you took the under too.
Got it right here.
Oh, you got a sheet?
This is
Stewie
all of our
Sheets?
scores.
Bill, you going to the Dome?
I'm not. I'm actually watching Deshaun Womack and Michael Van
nice.
Buren on Saturday night in the Dallas area. So watching an LSU commit in action against another really, really good team in DeSoto.
You're just
Enjoy the
going-
weekend,
he's
bro.
just going for the SMU game.
No.
Couldn't be me.
Enjoy the weekend, brother.
All right, guys. Thanks for having me.
All right, man. There he is. Billy Embody checking in this morning as he is reporting for On 3. Remember, On 3, check out all of the information over there at on3.com to keep up with the latest in recruiting.